She has taught me how to be much more culturally aware of being sensitive and thoughtful in everything that I do. Um, and also from Bita, who I want to make this incredible introduction because she is the mother of the founder of IROC, which is such an important role because while her daughter Ariana is at school, Bita and her family continue this for Ariana to make sure that her vision and her heart and her passion get shared all around the DMV and hopefully further at some point that some of the practices that IROC has that we can share with other organizations spanning further out, because the thoughtfulness and the kindness that Ariana has brought to the table in her vision for IROC needs it. We need to thank her. I mean, we would not be here. IROC would not be here if it was not for Ariana and her care and her heart. So Bita is the director of operations and our youth coordinator director. And she is instrumental in making sure that we are all aligned with what Ariana would want and what she saw and what her goals were. And Ariana pops in as she can and helps out here and there. And she does these incredible videos and works hand in hand during our summer camp. And that is actually another thing that I want to make sure that I highlight today. One of the things that IROC does really, really well is that we put youth and we put children first. It isn't just about the whole family. It isn't about, just helping find jobs and making sure that there's food security. It is truly, we try to focus on the entire well-being of the household, helping the mothers with what they need. But as we all know in our own lives, if the children are not taken care of, the house can fall apart. If the children don't have something to do, if they don't have toys, if they don't have distractions, everything can crumble. So one of the things that we do in the summertime when school is out and there's nothing else to do is Bita actually and the Project Turquoise youth group, they lead summer camps. And right now they only do it in Parkview, and they've been doing it for quite a few years, and it is such a big program. And I think that and before we started this meeting, we were speaking with Annabelle actually about maybe providing some snacks this summer, because one of the things that Bita makes sure that she does is she brings guest speakers in and they talk about different things. Like just for instance, last year she had a dentist come in and talk about oral hygiene, and they gave out toothbrushes and toothpaste. But the other thing that I think we need to start on the really on the ground with these kids is health, like taking care of what they put into their mouths, what they're putting into their bodies, and being cautious and not focusing so much on the snacks, even though we all love snacks, right? Like I love snacks. Doesn't matter if it's a potato chip or an orange or whatever, we want a snack, and kids love snacking. And a lot of these kids with food that suffer from food insecurity in these neighborhoods don't have the options to get the healthy, nutritious foods because they aren't always affordable and they aren't always accessible. So that's one of the things that IROC really wants to partner with everybody on is helping get more accessibility and healthy, nutritious foods into these neighborhoods so that we can start with the kids. Because if the kids aren't bugging the parents for chips, maybe they're bugging them for apples. And if we can start changing the narrative and changing the way that these kids think and what they're exposed to, then maybe the entire household can change the way that they're eating. And as we all know, if you have a healthy diet, education comes easier. Everything is easier if you have security in your food in your home. So I want to circle back to Manesia now. So one of the things that Manesia has taught me, and that I strive really hard to do with our food pantry, with our emergency food pantry, is to be really thoughtful in what we're giving to our families. If we have a Latino family, we'll focus on pinto beans and black beans and things that are more culturally sensitive to them. But our Afghan families don't want black beans, and they don't want pinto beans, and they don't want refried beans. They kind of look at those things and kind of shake their heads, and they won't refuse them. but it's not being as sensitive as we need to be to what they eat and what their needs are. So what we do is we focus on giving them like 5 different kinds of lentils, because there are so many different meals that they can make with Afghan rice and lentils. And we don't give them brown rice because they don't necessarily want it. And by giving them small things that are sensitive to their palate, we give them a little slice of their dignity back. It's very hard to ask for help. We all know it's hard in our own lives to say, I need this, or can I have this? But for them to actually step out of their comfort zones and start to come out of their trauma and say, I really need help. I don't have SNAP. My SNAP isn't covering my food needs this month. I just don't know how to apply, or I don't know how to go about doing this. We need to take a step back and remember that this is all really hard. And by being more thoughtful in what we're doing for these families, we give them a tiny bit of ease. And if sending 5 kinds of lentils and Afghan rice because this is what they want is easier, and making sure that the meat is halal, and not sending pork to Muslim families. I mean, these are all things that we teach our volunteers. We actually have volunteer training that we try to get all of our volunteers to go through. And it's really hard to get everyone together on a Zoom call, as we all know, trying to get every other week, right? But making sure that we are talking about these things, and that these are forefront in our volunteers' minds and in all of our minds as leaders of other organizations. We need to be more cautious, and we need to take a step back, and we need to say, what do you need? What do you want? Because we all have needs and we all have wants, but we can't just assume that what we're doing is the right thing. We need to actually hear from the communities, and we need to listen to the communities. And when the communities say, this isn't really what we're looking for, and we can switch it, and it isn't an inconvenience, and it isn't hard, it's not a hard change, we make it so much easier on those individual households to succeed in their days. And so for IROC, we try to give them a variety of halal meats. We give lamb, we give beef, we give chicken. But we also talk to the families before we do a food delivery, and we say, are you vegetarian? Do you actually eat all of these things? Because there are many of our families that are vegetarian, and the worst thing we can do is take meat into those households. That's insulting. And it's so simple to just make a phone call. And these are things that we are working on every day to make sure that we get better about, and that we make sure that the person that is doing the intake calls can actually communicate, that there isn't a language barrier. We find someone who speaks Arabic if we have a new Arabic family, so that we don't make these mistakes, because these are small things that we can do to make all of the families feel more welcome. And in turn, they talk to other families. As we all know, all of our families, they all talk. They all communicate. So if you help one, they all want to know, why didn't I get this same help? So we want to be consistent, and we want to do better, and we want to help other organizations do better and be better, because together we can make a big difference, and we really can help more families. So now I'm going to turn it over to Manisha, because I know she's got to get into another work call.
Hi everybody. Yeah, I just got to jump off by 9:30. Have our weekly staff meeting at Homes Not Borders, a different organization that I'm also with. So yeah, I want to touch on how it all started. I guess this was when a lot of families were coming in. We had an influx of families that were coming in, and a lot of them were being put in hotels initially because there wasn't enough housing available. And so what we found was there were a lot of groups that wanted to go and deliver food. There were a lot of church groups, there were a lot of individual organizations. And what was happening was the families were, it was starting to kind of get, to us, the word was getting to us that the foods that they were providing were either insufficient or were not culturally appropriate. So they were getting, they were sending the photos of the foods, and there was like a box of mac and cheese and a jar of peanut butter and some white toast. And, that's fine, except they weren't consuming it. This is not something that they were used to. It wasn't enough. I mean, we're talking an average family of 6, and larger. So it was, the amounts were not efficient, and they're not used to the processed foods. They're used to cooking whole vegetables. They said, well, so then, then I had to look at my family, because I'm from Afghanistan. So I knew exactly what we make at home, and what are the vegetables we need, what are the lentils we need. And so these are the things that were very important, and I knew that they also were looking for these things. Fresh fruits and vegetables, and then obviously the staple rice, to make for the families, and it feeds a lot of people, as we know. And so we had to basically tweak a lot of that, and IROC decided, okay, we're going to step in and we're going to do the food. So I reached out to different organizations, and I was able to give them a list of things that were culturally appropriate. They were able to provide it for me, and I was able to deliver these to those families. And that's how it all began. And the families, the look on their faces and the feedback we got was just so wonderful. They were so delighted. They were so happy. And they said, this is what we've been asking for. This is what we've been looking for. And again, as Shelley said, they won't deny, they didn't decline the food that was coming in, but it wasn't being consumed. And they themselves were feeling, they didn't want to trash the food either, because, they look at it, they're very conservative, they're religious, and they don't want to get rid of food and things like that. So it was just it was a hard decision. And then a lot of times they were getting prepped meals that were cooked, and they weren't sure how it was cooked. Did it have anything that had pork in it? Um, there were a lot of different issues. So we kind of worked around all of that, and we came to the conclusion of, these are the items they need. This is what's going to work. And let me tell you, I have those same families reaching out now after Shelley and I did the Ramadan food delivery, and they're asking, when is the next one? Like, it's much needed. They really appreciate it and they love it. So long story short, before I jump off, I think it's really important to provide them the wholesome foods that Shelley was talking about, fresh fruits and vegetables, and then some of those other staple items that are needed for the families. And I hope that we can build a relationship where, that can happen for all the families. And I'm very familiar with all the different neighborhoods, different communities. So that's not a big deal at all. I've been doing this since 2021. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be there for you guys, but I have to jump off. It was nice meeting
Nice.
everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Manisha.
You're
Have a
welcome.
blessed day.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. So I have few questions. So my first question is, what are the 5 different lentils that that we need to be aware of? That'll be nice.
There are red lentils, there are green lentils, there are plain lentils. There are, actually, I can take you downstairs and I can show you pictures of these. I have them in my basement right now. There are, pardon my camera for a second here. Because there's actually an important distinction between these. We take chana dal, moong dal splits. So these are red lentils.
Mm.
We take dried garbanzo beans. Moong dal.
Mm.
These are green lentils. These are split moons.
Split what?
These are MOONG, moon. Sorry if it's not as clear.
Oh, okay.
There are dried red kidney beans.
Okay.
And we also do canned dark red kidney beans and garbanzo beans. So we have a staple grocery list that I can actually share with everyone that we provide. And also when we talk about the different kinds of rice, it's
Yes.
very specific. It's basmati rice. But we so for our groceries, I actually go down to Anarkali, which is in Greenbelt, and get
Mhm.
all of our lentils from there and all of our rice from there. We spend more on rice than anything because it's so important. Because they soak their rice and they rinse their rice, and they it's a very specific rice that will actually split on the ends to make that really light, fluffy, delicious, deliciously uh consumable madness. I don't even know. There's just such a difference to it. And I didn't even realize again until I started working with Manisha, and she actually started cooking some of the meals for me and teaching me the difference, because I would go to the store and I would buy white rice and she was like, "Oh, no, 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 not plain white rice." She's like, "If you really want to learn, then let me teach you." And I was like, "Please teach me, because I don't want to be I want these families to feel like just a little bit of comfort. And if by giving them a specific kind of rice that they actually know how to cook and know how to use gives a little bit, then teach me." And that was how I personally started with all of the food for IROC. And now I go into the homes, and some of the moms, they teach me how to cook different meals. They cook for me all the time, which I tell them all, "You're gonna make me so fat." But there is a true difference in giving something that actually comes from a small local mom and pop run store than just running into Costco, or to get halal meat. If you go like for us, for Anarkali, during last year's Ramadan food pantry project, we got probably 75 to 80% of our food came directly from this one small store, and they gave us huge discounts. And when we partnered with them, rather than only being able to feed like 70 families, we were able to feed 70 families 2 times over, plus another 34, I think it was. And we were able to provide tons of food. And when I say tons, I mean big reusable grocery bags. There were 5 to 6 bags full, bursting at the seams, of the specific lentils that they wanted: rice, fresh fruits and vegetables, tomatoes, not stewed tomatoes or canned tomatoes, but tomato paste. That's another really big one. Their meals are prepared with tomato paste. They don't want a thin sauce. It's something that I didn't know until I asked and until somebody taught me. But a small can of tomato paste, they can make numerous meals out of, where we would be like, "Oh, we're going to use 1 tablespoon and be done with it." They use tomato paste in most main dishes that they make. And these are things that they can use and they can stretch. So they can, by giving them 4 or 5 bags of dried lentils and beans, and 4 or 5 cans of the kidney beans and the garbanzo beans, and a 10, or for a bigger family, we were giving 20-pound bags of rice. They can stretch these things to make meals for weeks. And this is the priority for IROC, is that when they come to us and they say, "I don't have SNAP, I need help. I have nothing, my fridge is bare, or I have the minimal in my fridge. Can you help me?" We want to give them not just enough to make 1 or 2 meals. We want to give them enough to get them through for at least a week. That is my goal when I grocery shop, to give them at least a week of food so that they can take that time and they can breathe. Because when you can breathe, you can focus. And when you can focus, you can accomplish things. And it's hard when you don't know where your next meal is coming from to do those things. So fresh tomatoes, cucumber, yes, lots of raisins, yes, yep, dates, and good dates, not junky like $3 a bag dates, but like good dates.
What is a
So,
good date, Shelley?
oh my gosh, anything that comes from Anarkali.
Uh,
That's what I learned.
can you
Don't
can
go
you
to Giant. Don't go
okay,
to
I
can
think
Giant.
they're called
someone
Yes,
metajewel dates, I believe.
yes.
okay. Can someone type the store name, please?
Um, yes.
Pastor
Can we get
Ben.
can we get the definition of halal?
Beta, that's a question for you. How would you?
Yeah, I think that's the proper way to describe this. Fatima, you may know better than me, is when the meat has been, I hate to use this word, sacrificed. I was gonna say killed, but sacrificed, a proper way. So people of Muslim faith can, eat it knowing that the animal has been sacrificed a certain way, but please do not quote me on this.
If I may
Okay,
jump in,
yeah,
I could.
please.
So there's halal and there's sabiha. So there's a little difference. Some families are okay with just the halal, and some families may just want sabiha. And I think the difference is that the belief is that you can buy meat as long as it's slaughtered. So, for example, you can eat meat from like Jewish or Christian type. You can eat that as long as it's blessed with the name of God in it, right? So it's not. So you'll find some families that will eat like meat as long as it's from that source. Sabiha is like another level, is the manner that it's done. But yeah, basically it has to have at the time of the slaughter, there's a specific way where it's Allah's name is mentioned. So yeah.
Okay, and so at the store, like in Greenbelt, do they have the halal food already there?
Yes, they get fresh meat every day. And what we would do, because we were serving so many families, and Manisha and I were the two that did all of the grocery shopping. Um, I would call them in the morning and I would say, we have this many families that I need to pick up for today. And they would, when I got there, they would have grocery carts, 3 grocery carts overflowing with 20-pound bags of rice and all the meat that I needed cut. And basically I would call in the morning and they would say, okay, I can have it by 3 o'clock this afternoon, or I need to get in touch with my guy who is, where they get their fresh meat from. And I can have it for you tomorrow morning. Or if you give me, I need 20 families in 3 days, or whatever it was, they got everything fresh. And also I need to say that all of our chicken, I have a really funny story. So I was sent to pick up chickens, and I was sent to a place in Alexandria, and I walked, and they said, when I was sent here, they said, okay, all the chickens will be ready for you. All you have to do is go pick them up. And I was like, great. So I went to the place and I walked in, and yes, Restaurant Depot. Yep. And I walked in and there were all these chickens in cages in a room. And they were like, pick your chickens. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they were like, no, pick your chickens. And I'm like, no, they're supposed to be ready for me. What are you talking about? And they had sent me to the supplier of the gentleman that I was supposed to actually pick the chickens up from. And I kind of freaked out a little bit because I watched what happens with chickens. And I was like, I can't pick my chickens. This is like, what am I doing? And so we made a few phone calls and we found out that I needed to be down the road. But I learned an awful lot about chicken, and then I did not eat chicken for a few weeks, I must say. That was my first experience with halal chicken, actually. And what it means to really get fresh chickens. So I went down the road and we went to American Halal Meats, and he runs such an incredible organization. I would call them and I would say, I have 20 families. I need to come pick up 20 chickens. And he would have the chickens, 10 chickens in a box, and they would load them in my car and off I would go. And then I had to take the chickens out of these big boxes and bag them and put them with the rest of the food. And these chickens are so fresh. They still have their heads and they just have the slit. And it was really disturbing for me personally, because that's not something that I'm used to. But every family member that got one of those chickens made a comment about how much they appreciate that came to them like that. They knew that it was actually halal. They didn't have to question it. And besides our volunteers and all of our directors and everyone letting the families know that everything was halal, this was proof to them that this was actually halal chicken. And our Kali would put a note in with all of the meat that had their phone number, and if you need anything, please call us, we can provide. So these were other small things that we did that to me were a little bit more disturbing watching all of this happen, but it was proof to the families that we were actually providing what we were saying we were providing, and that we weren't just giving them something that we picked up at the store. Merritt, you had your hand up, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Merritt.
Oh, hi. I just wanted to say that all these foods that Shelley is talking about, this isn't just like a preference for these families. It's that they have a complete unfamiliarity with our like typical American food. So it's like they wouldn't be able to prepare it when they're first arriving. They haven't seen these things before, like brown rice, for example. So it's not just like, oh, I want this kind of food. It's really, for these families who are newly arrived, it's really a necessity. And I think that's a really important distinction to make, because it's been well documented in the Latino community that when families first arrive and they're given like peanut butter, they don't know what to do with it. Over time they learn about American food, but like in this community that's kind of like a newer group in our area, people might look at that a little bit of a different way. And I just think it's important to distinguish that it's unfamiliarity. It's not being choosy. And I also wanted to say that I know that IROC has worked with Islamic Relief USA before, but SHC is we're receiving 80 halal turkeys on Saturday, and thank you to Pastor Ben for letting us use your freezer truck to store them overnight, and then we will distribute them on Sunday at our Friendsgiving event. So and I should have reached out to you because IRUSA did offer to us like some additional food packets, but we just didn't have the capacity to do that. But maybe next year. So yeah.
And Merritt, while you're already there talking, you might as well do a reminder about the what is it that you wanted to say?
Welcoming America.
Yes, please.
So SHC is a member of it's an international organization called Welcoming America. And they promote welcoming in communities across the United States and across the world in various different ways. So like by, encouraging groups like SHC to host events during Welcoming Week, which is in September. And then by another major initiative that they have is by helping cities, towns, counties, local governments become certified welcoming. And I just thought, Prince George's County is so welcoming, but doesn't get the credit for it in our area. There are a lot of other communities that, purport to be very welcoming, and they are, but we all see how diverse and rich with many different kinds of people Prince George's County is. And I feel like it would be a nice recognition for the county. But things like this kind of become political sometimes. So I thought it would be good to maybe start with our group and invite someone from the Certified Welcoming Program to come and just talk to us and tell us what it is. Just so that we can learn a little more about it and ask questions. And then if we all feel like it would be a good thing to kind of like promote to the county, then maybe we could do that like together as a coalition.
Yeah. Yep.
Because then it might get a little bit more attention.
Yeah.
But I really feel like, whether it's for Riverdale or for the county, I think it would be a really nice way to kind of like say to the Washington, D.C. community, hey, we're here and we welcome newcomers. So that's, well, hopefully, I'm just waiting for them to confirm. Hopefully that meeting will be December 4th.
Yeah. Pastor Ben, you said yes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to get back and confirm that they're still available at that time.
Yeah. And I think it's critical that, this is one of the major steps we take as a first, list of action items for Prince George's Cares Coalition, where, we're trying to recognize the new members in Prince George's County, communities, and trying to make an effort to make their stay, as homey as possible, just a little bit homey, right? Because they got displaced. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will just tell a little anecdote. About 7 years ago, I was speaking with a Syrian family who actually came to the US. Probably the first wave of the family came 30 or 40 years ago. And they had lived all over the Metro DC area. They first came to Virginia, then they went to Montgomery County, and they now live in Prince George's County and have for decades. And they were like, we chose to live here because this is the county where we feel most comfortable and most welcome. And I just think that is true for a lot of people. And a lot of people in the greater Washington area don't believe that. So I think this is a way that we can show that to everybody.
Yeah.
Mayor, do you know if anyone in the county has connected with the welcoming group?
No, they haven't, because the only members are SHC and the PGC MLS, the library. And so they were really excited to hear from us about Prince George's County, because they hadn't, what they said was, we haven't heard from Prince George's County in a while. So yeah.
Well, it would be real fitting for Prince George's Cares group to be the ones to initiate that.
I absolutely agree.
think so.
I think it would be really nice. Like, it fits well with this coalition. And it would be a nice way to promote this group also. So, and then I was sort of, you all maybe have a different idea. I was kind of looking at it as like, let's get the members of this group kind of a little bit more knowledgeable about it. And then maybe after that, then we start going to maybe more officials, things like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, thanks, Merritt. You said something that resonate to me and Pastor Ben. I think this is organically, it's, we're trying to figure out where we're heading as a group with this new bigger mission. And so I think one of them will be this focus area. I think like in Howard County, Columbia is always been awarded as one of diverse safe place to live. That's the pride and joy of our executive county, Calvin Ball. And so I think I've seen enough diversity in Prince George's County. Alexander is the same thing. I really truly believe the diversity in Prince George's County that I've seen so far exists. And I think it's just fitting to be recognized with that in this sector too. Yeah.
And maybe taking some steps, in the future within the county government to kind of show that. I think, but
Yeah.
it's maybe down the line. But
Well, I think this meeting today is so important because many organizations like Passion Compassion need to be more educated in this area. And we need to think about this, that Kaiser Permanente, has a whole bunch of money out there that's going to be going towards food as medicine, also, culturally, correct foods. And
Yeah.
so this would be an area, I think, once we get this established well, that we can put a really strong, approach to this to
Case.
say
Mhm.
that, we mean business. We're not just saying that we want to do something, but we actually are doing it. And so I
Yeah.
just want to say, Mayor, thank you for having this event on Sunday that I think is going to be a wonderful event as well. And so if we could get in the chat the name of that store, and actually
It's,
also maybe the name of the halal place in Alexandria,
yeah.
because we would like to begin to, we don't have a lot of Afghanistans that come to our distributions on Fridays. It's probably maybe 15, 20 families that show up. But we would love to start addressing them with their cultural foods.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for us to not wait,
Yeah.
but to begin now. So
And how do we do that? Is it better if we do it through Shelley to connect with those vendors, or we go straight to them? Or what's the best way to kind of like get the best deal?
because we want the discounts.
We want the discount.
I don't mind introducing everybody to them at all. I mean, they're both organizations, like both of them are just absolutely amazing to work with. And just a little thing about Anarchally, this is how much I love them. Every time I would let them know that I was coming in to pick anything up, and even to this day, when I let them know I'm coming to pick anything up, the gentleman's mother makes fresh samosas for my daughter because
Wow.
and tamarind sauce, because she knows how much my daughter loves them. I would take the kids in there to pick groceries up with me, and Lenora would go in the back room and she would drop them in the oil and make them right there. And so, I mean, that's how incredible, like that. I mean, that's the relationship that I formed with Anarchally, and that is, I mean, I consider them one of, I mean, like I walk in and they scream, "Where's Lenora?" They don't care about me. They want to know where my daughter is, you know? I mean, it's just, there's such an amazing family run store. It's just, and there are so many of those, right? Like there are a ton of halal markets. There are a ton of halal stores. We just happen to have partnered with Anarchally, and just, it's just been a great working relationship. And and I'm putting American Halal's address and everything in the chat right now. And same with them. When I pull up and I get out of my car, like the uncle runs over here and he's like, "Oh, my friend," and he gives me a hug. And that's, I mean, that's something different for me, because most of the time, the men don't necessarily hug me, but he like runs up and like engulfs me like my own family would. And I mean, it's such a welcoming environment, and just so great to be able to share them with other people, because they're just fantastic.
So Thank you, Shelley. Speaking of events, so maybe we could all share our Thanksgiving event. And I know Seacourse, Miss Pat wanted to tell everybody there's a hiring fair today at Sarvis Cafe. In where is Sarvis Cafe? Kennelsworth area.
Kenilworth, yeah.
Kenilworth.
On Sarvis Road and Riverdale
Yeah.
Park.
It's right next to our office.
There you are.
So our office address is 6811 Kenilworth. It's just on the other side of the parking lot from us in the medical building. And we're really looking forward to Sarvis Cafe reopening.
Yeah, we should host our in-person one of these days in Sarvis Cafe, I think. Yeah. But Pastor Ben, what is your so Merit has
Yeah.
Sunday and Pastor Ben?
Yeah, this coming Friday, 12 noon at Tanglewood Park will be our outreach for Thanksgiving, even though it's the week before. We chose it this week because there's going to be 30 other events next week. So we felt comfortable about having ours now. So it's Friday, Tanglewood Park, come early. There will be a major crowd there. We do have police from the county, Park and Plan in Riverdale Park to help us with the traffic issues that we have there. So come early, you'll be blessed.
IROC is having a free refugee dinner. We're at capacity on Sunday from 4 to 6 in Vienna, Virginia. I wish we had space to invite community members and supporters, but we wanted to give thanks to the families that we serve with a free more meal. Halal.
Anna, I'll put your flyer up. Can I share my screen for a second?
Sure.
I've never done this in Teams. Hold on. Wait a second. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'm able to do this actually. I'm usually pretty good, but
share and then you need to choose the specific screen. So window.
Oh,
choose
window.
a window.
There. And why is it showing me? But it's like
just the window where your flyer is. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
No, we see
yourself.
Ourselves.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
Choose the screen instead of window.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mike.
It's not showing me that screen. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, we're having we welcome anyone to come to our event, but it also is almost at capacity. And we are working with University of Maryland, Islamic Relief USA, and an interfaith group in Montgomery County, Maryland. So, and we will be at University of Maryland for the event. So,
when is it, Merit?
It's our Friendsgiving. It's from 11 to 1 on Sunday, and we have 2 buses that will bring families from Parkview Gardens and 2 other complexes in Landover over to UMD for the event. But we also have some families that are driving themselves. So.
Where's the location?
It's in the culinary Center for Performing Arts. They've allowed us to, they might regret this, but they've allowed us to use their band practice room. And so hopefully nothing will be damaged. But yeah, it should be.
Hopefully you can get your singing and shouting done in there.
That's right.
While you're in that room. That'd be a place to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe before everyone else arrives, I'll just be in there by myself singing really loud.
So Linda Ben will be doing Thanksgiving meal giveaway as well, but not turkey, but chicken and lots of chicken. But yeah, on the 21st, 3 to 5, We normally just serve while supply lasts. So we're targeting around 300 families and then another 50 families in Cooper Lane Elementary School. Yes. Miss Fatima, do you have anything for the District 3 or any event?
Not at the moment, but we'll be happy to work or support anyone else.
Yeah, tell this Miss CM Eric to send a representative on Tuesday. I mean, that's the one thing we really miss after CM Glara's departure, some visibility from our county council on our
Sure.
distribution.
Do you have the details for Tuesday? If you could just
Sure.
email it to me.
Yep.
And then just add me on the distribution list as well.
Yeah, do you mind giving me your email
Okay, I'll drop
address?
it in the chat.
Yeah, and Shelley, the email address. I'm sorry, bear with me. Manisha, that'll be nice.
I texted it to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And would you mind emailing all of the events?
Mhm.
Is there a way? Okay, because what we
Yeah.
do, one of the things that IROC does is we have WhatsApp groups for every neighborhood. And so we can target specific neighborhoods in different counties and different areas where things are going on. This way we can have our intake coordinators change the language on the flyers and send out to the specific neighborhoods what's happening. That's something that we're really, really big on, is trying not to overwhelm, 300 plus families that we have on all these groups. We separated them out by neighborhood, and we just send to those specific neighborhoods in those areas.
Okay, and Mike, while you're here, do you mind, because we work really hard with working with health department under Mike's section leadership, where the community health workers comes to our pantry almost every week. So Mike, do you wanna do a little plug, just so when more been seeing more
Okay.
Afghan families come to our pantry, so just so at least the leadership from IROC knows how to communicate additional opportunity. Yeah.
We'll do that. Thank you.
And I wanted to add something along with what Merit is doing. IROC was awarded the grant as well, and we got 160 turkeys. And last week on Wednesday, Manisha and I got a bunch of volunteers together, and we distributed 160 turkeys in one day to families in need. We took all of the undocumented families that we serve and all of the ones that we knew didn't have an agency, didn't have SNAP. We started with those. And what we did was, for every 5 people in a household, we gave 1 turkey. So like the families that have 13 people got 3 turkeys. And we got volunteers to do the deliveries, and actually, I think we ended up with 131 households total that all got fresh halal turkeys. And the sides, Merritt, if you decide you want sides, I have like 15 boxes of sides of rice in my garage right now left over.
No, thank you. Thank you. No,
So we're gonna do a mass distribution somewhere in some neighborhood.
That's great.
But those turkeys are huge. I mean, they are like 20-pound turkeys. They are much bigger than what we anticipated. They all got delivered to my driveway at 7:30 in the morning. And they're big, but they're great. The families, I mean, they feed so many. It's such an incredible thing that IRUSA did. And we're all so blessed to have been able to be a part of that. But they are big. They're big, and they are frozen, thankfully. They are frozen.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I think we've over our time. I think we've pretty much covered most of our agenda. And again, IROC team, welcome to our coalition. Hope we could do more, together. for our mission. So yep.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you
Our
so much,
pleasure.
everybody. And thank you for letting me bumble my way through all of that. So much.
Well, have a great Wednesday. I know we're all going to be busy for the Thanksgiving giveaway since reaching out to other communities. So, yep. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Bye.